different.
I hope so.
What are we
Because
talking
it
about?
all kind of has.
We need some more competition in the Big Ten.
It's definitely needed right now. There's not enough competition in the Big Ten.
The Big Ten's getting better, though. It is.
Yeah, but isn't USC joining the Big Ten, right? Next year? Not this coming year,
2024.
but 24?
I
Yeah.
think it's 2024
Yeah.
or 2025. I don't remember.
24, because I heard they have one more year in the Pac-12.
UCLA is joining right behind them.
Yeah, that's gonna shake. That's gonna shake some stuff up because, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you guys saw last year USC finished like 8th, I think, or 9th or whatever it was. But they're like the real deal, especially at Lincoln over there. Man, they're building a program. Caleb Williams. I thought it was gonna take a couple more years. That's USC is gonna turn into like what Oklahoma was, I think.
Here's my question though, related to that. Caleb Williams is obviously going into the draft this year. So
next year.
No, I meant next year. So it's going to be the year prior to them joining the Big Ten. Will they be able to have like a repeat quarterback situation? Because like obviously Caleb Williams is a Heisman caliber quarterback.
Well, they got Malachi. Malachi is from LaSalle, which is like down by Long Beach area. He's the number one dual threat quarterback in the country.
Will he be able to?
And he's going to be a freshman.
Arch.
I mean, I think he's ranked higher than Arch, or they're like neck and neck.
I thought Arch was the number one.
No, Arch
in his class.
I think it's Malachi Nelson. But the point is, I mean, you look at what Lincoln's done, like at Oklahoma. I mean, that he's like the quarterback whisperer, you know, with Baker and Kyler and Jalen Hurts. Even though Jalen was kind of already established, that's not really his guy. Yeah, but man, dude, he's had like 3 Heisman quarterbacks now. I don't think he'll have a problem turning Malachi Nelson into something. And even if it's not him, I think it'll be someone else.
Yeah, I think that.
That's just going hard.
I think that the USC is definitely becoming more attractable.
Ultra wide.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know. I
already started Sam joining?
No, so actually that's a great thing to say because I told the other two already this, but unfortunately Sam is no longer going to be joining us for the pod, and it's just because he like lost that kind of driving force, that motivation to be talking football after fantasy football season ended, and so he told me this, and I was like, I appreciate you informing me of this, nonetheless. But yeah, so
well, if he wants to join back, like summertime when fantasy is going, then maybe.
Yeah, of course.
We got 5 guys, you know.
Yeah. And Alex isn't joining tonight either. Just to let you guys all know, he has a throbbing headache. So.
Saw that.
Yeah. No, I texted him and checked up, and he's no longer joining us for today. So, that's about the news related to that. But Jason, if you'd like to kind of lead us into our new kind of segmenting, you can kind of run over what we're going to be talking about today and lead to the first point.
Yeah, so if you guys, like, look, I just came up with this on the fly, and I talked to Austin about it. If you guys have anything you want to add, just let us know. But pretty much the breakdown is going to go wild card talk and predictions. We'll start off with that. And then we're going to go into draft preview and some 2023 prospects. Ravens and Lamar Jackson, just like the whole, I don't know, I'm sure you guys have heard they have like a big contract dispute right now. And then potential quarterbacks on the move 2023. And then we're going to rebuild the Bears because they need to be rebuilt.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought that was amusing because it's honestly true.
Yeah, I'd agree. But if you guys want to start off with wild card, we can. Predictions or just anything you want to say?
I'll let Cade, you can start off, and then we'll kind of make our way around, get an idea where we're sitting on that wild card run.
Hold on, let me pull it up. I think it'd be kind of straightforward in my opinion on the game. Maybe a couple toss-ups. I think we will see. You just want to go game by game? Want me to just throw a game out there and we'll all
Yeah.
discuss it? Or
I say we throw out
Uh,
all the. I say okay. Let's do a couple different things. Let's start off with like our. I would like to say our universals. So like for example, I'll start off with the Bengals Ravens. I feel like we can all come to a universal agreement that the Bengals are gonna win because of the situations that are like sitting around, Lamar not playing,
yeah.
and the lack of offense and what we saw last week. So
And then the next one
I
I'd
think
say is
even if he was playing,
no, that's also true.
what would you say, Jason?
oh, I said I think even if Lamar was playing, I'd still take Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was saying is I think the Seahawks and 49er game is pretty easy to chalk up, in my opinion. We have probably all four of
Really?
us with 49ers are going to beat
I
the
agree.
Seahawks.
No, I
Bills are going to beat the Dolphins 100%.
yeah, no,
Well,
With the
I
quarterback
would
situation.
say I'm pretty confident the Vikings will beat New York.
that
I don't
one's
think so.
so funny because there's so many people who completely disagree with that, and I feel like let's kind of talk about this. Let's get everybody's point of view because I stick on the fact that I think the Vikings should be a good enough team to beat the Giants. However, there's some factors like what Kirk is 3-3 on games that aren't at 1 fucking p.m. Eastern or 10 a.m. Pacific.
is that real?
That is actually a fact. He is 11-1. I want to say he's 11-1, or he might be. Yeah, no, he's 11-1 at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard or 1 p.m. Eastern, and he's 3-3 on other times this year. So
Prime time Kirk, love it.
obviously that's like a skewed statistic, but that's also like it's a funny thing to point out. But
It's
nonetheless,
occurred like in other seasons.
what'd you say?
It's also occurred in the other seasons. Like it's not just this season.
No, that's true. But it's just like for people to look at a statistic like that is like when ESPN pulls up like the first time ever for this player to hit like 20 points and 7 rebounds in the first 5 seconds of the game or some shit like that. Like it's that kind of statistic. But
Mhm.
nonetheless, what's everybody's standpoint? I think the Vikings are personally going to win. And then let's pass it around and let's hear some, like at least a person from each side. So I'll pass it to Jason and then we'll work to Josh and the Cade.
Okay, so my personal opinion on this game is I don't think it's going to be. I don't know if the game's going to be as close as people think, and I'm actually taking the Giants. I don't believe in the Vikings. I think the way that they match up, the Giants have the advantage in the trenches on defense. Their D line outmatches the O line of the Vikings, and I think the Giants O line, like correct, I might be wrong. Correct me if I am, but I think their O line's actually pretty good this year because they have Evan Neal. He was arguably the top prospect, and he was a tackle they drafted in the first round. And Andrew Thomas has looked like the best offensive lineman in the NFL. So I'm taking the Giants. I think Saquon is going to have a big day as long as Daniel Jones doesn't throw the game away. Then I think they're fine. But you could say the same thing for Kirk Cousins. I don't think they're too far. I don't think the gap is too far between those two. But I still think Kirk is a better quarterback. But I'm saying the Giants 23-13. 23. No, I'll say 23-17.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, this is definitely a game where it's definitely could be a toss up. It's not straightforward. I say the Vikings win just because they're at home, and I mean, I think overall they are a better team than the Giants. They don't play like it. I think they're definitely frauds, but if Daniel Jones can have like a 300-yard game, I don't see why they can't win. But I just don't really expect that out of them. And yeah, I think the Vikings. I think the Vikings just a better team. I think Justin Jefferson's probably going to have 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Dalvin Cook maybe having a good game. I know he just came off a pretty bad one, but I think he could. I think they could definitely win this game. I would say the score would probably be. Give me 27-23 Vikings.
Wow.
I agree with Jason and a lot of the points that he made. I think the Giants, I think, will have a good game against the Vikings. I think the Giants are a little bit slept on in a way. I think they have some interesting pieces that could possibly come together all at the right time. They sat their starters last week, which I think is a smart move. In most cases, some people like to argue that sitting them makes them rusty when they come back, but I think that's much needed in the sport of football. And I think the Giants will do well, and I think I'm gonna go more of a shootout. I don't think the defenses will really have a factor. I think the offenses are going to look pretty good on both sides. I think that Giants defense though will come up huge on the last possession or something. I'll go up to 35-31, somewhere in there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting score.
Since everybody kind of elaborated on their points, I'll kind of go back to mine, and then I'm gonna phrase a question at the end that kind of leans against my point of view, but is kind of an interesting one to look at nonetheless. So, with regard to why I think the Vikings will beat the Giants, I think the fact that Daniel Jones's lack of experience might end up kind of limiting their abilities. His ability to kind of improvise with the ground game, with his ability to run out of the pocket, will definitely cause trouble for the Vikings. But I just don't. I mean, the receiving core is lackluster. Like, if you can, I'm pretty sure maybe only me, maybe Jason might know the trio of receivers that they run. Other than, like, if you know Darius Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins, and Richie James, so
Mhm.
like that as elite of a core of trio that might be. I'm sorry, Kenny Galladay and the bench is also there too, but
Yeah, so we have Galladay.
I just named all three.
Did you name Robinson out of Bama?
No, I just named no. Their starting three is Richie James, Isaiah Hodgins, and Darius Slayton.
Oh, I forgot about Hodgins. Yeah, he's had a decent year for kind of a sleeper rookie.
Yeah, he came in later in the year and he's made quite the impact. But those three are like their
But
primary three, and obviously Wan'Dale Robinson.
And then Wan'Dale.
Is he back?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but he's kind of like their gadget guy. Like, I wouldn't call him a. He's not even like a true receiver. You know, he's not like a perimeter guy. He's more the guy that's going to get like the Jets. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure he's like their Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, he's their budget Kadarius Toney, right?
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, they had Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyhow, the Giants as a whole, I just think that they're gonna lack the offensive manpower to actually make that like iffy Vikings secondary kind of screw up. I think both teams are gonna show up defensively because it's playoff football. It's gonna be tough. And I think my score prediction is going to be a lot lower than you guys. I think it's going to end up being closer to about like a 17-14 kind of game. And why I'm leading to this is the reason why I'll lead to my question, which is, do you think Justin Jefferson...
Too.
What'd you say?
I was going to say weather conditions too. You guys take into consideration. They're in Minnesota, right?
They're playing in a dome. So
okay, never mind.
But no, the question I asked is, so Justin Jefferson, they saw the recipe 2 weeks ago for what the Packers did. And I think the Giants obviously don't have Jair, but they have two solid cornerbacks. And I think that they should be able to have the possibility to do something along the lines that the Packers did. So do we see another repeat performance where Justin Jefferson kind of gets held under 100? Obviously, I'm not saying to the capability that he was held to in one catch, but do we see him having a week where his influence is completely lost and Kirk Cousins has to kind of force the ball elsewhere?
I'd say so.
I understand that the Packers fan over here is not sitting well with that thought because he thinks that the Packers scheme is just almighty, but...
No, I don't, trust me. But I don't think that in order to hold Justin Jefferson to under 100 yards, let's say that, you're going to need a top 5 cornerback, and they don't have one.
They have.
He's getting.
I agree. They don't have that.
They're going to burn him. He's going to burn him.
Yeah, but under 100.
We'll see, I guess, but I think he has 152 touchdowns.
152 or 150 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
Well,
4 catches.
4 catches. What is he, Randy Moss?
No, I'll give you like maybe give you like 5 or 6, 7 catches, something
It's
like
gonna be like 10 receptions, dude. It's Justin Jefferson. Kirk's gonna try to shove that ball into his hands at every possible thing. I think the main offensive contributor is gonna be TJ. I feel like he's low key been the first or the second most efficient tight end since he joined the Vikings, other than
Mhm.
maybe George Kittle, because I feel like Travis hasn't had like as elite of the last 8 to 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think TJ is going to be their guy who he gets a lot of receptions. If not, Dalvin's going to get a lot of opportunities out of the backfield. But I just think
What about
it's going to be
KJ
a
Osborne?
shootout. KJ had one good week, truthfully.
No, I know, but he's a pretty good number. I mean, this point is like their fourth option.
He
You
is.
could even say fifth guy because of Dalvin coming out of the backfield. But he's solid. Like I'm not gonna act like he's anything to talk about. You know, he's not like some he's not some receiver 1 or 2 on any team, but he's a pretty good receiver 3. And I mean, and he's a guy that can go for over 100. He went. I mean, how many yards did he have against the Bears defense? Which it is Bears defense, so I'm not gonna give him too much credit, but not gonna give him his flowers this week. But what did he have?
I don't even recall. Like, I was watching Red Zone last week, and I was
I think
literally
he had
not.
2 touchdowns.
I know Dalvin, or not Dalvin. I know Madison had 2
117.
touchdowns.
He had 5 for 117.
Yeah, but that was also against a team that's literally intending to tank. So, like, is that?
No,
Let's give
that's
him his
fair.
flowers.
No, that's fair.
No, but
That's fair.
I think KJ is he's a legitimate option. Like, he's, as you said, like, I want to say he's undervalued because of the options that they have ahead of him. And he might be a difference maker. I don't know. I feel like the simplest way we could do is if we pulled up the last Giants Vikings matchup. Let's see if anybody's gonna have a repeat performance, or look at if they're gonna have like a difference maker this time. But last time it was decided by a Greg Joseph field goal.
Yeah, I'm actually looking right now because I don't recall that matchup. Oh wow, yeah. So it'll probably be a close one. It was in Minnesota too. The one thing I want to add is you mentioned something about Green Bay's scheme on defense, and I know we're not talking about Green Bay, but I just got to put this out there. And you said, I know Packer fans too here might actually or love to think that their scheme is some amazing defensive scheme, and that's why they locked up Justin. Let me just tell you, no Packer fan thinks that. Our defensive coordinator is terrible. Our scheme is terrible. The entire defense is terrible. That's all I got to say. You got good players, but that's about it. Josh, I think you'd probably agree with me on most of
I agree.
I agree for most of the year, but I disagree for the week against the Vikings. They actually came out schematically fairly
But you know what they let him do? It didn't even seem like it was some big schematic thing. They just let the players play. They just let them line up in man, and they let them do their job. They didn't put them in some whack zone or cover 2 bullshit. I mean, it was just they let them play. They let them play football.
As simplistic
All right,
as you
Josh, I
made
hate
it
to say
is,
it, but
it's
that's not
definitely
true.
not true.
They ran cover 2.
Yeah.
That's how they stopped. That's how they shut down JJ. They ran cover 2, like a squat cover 2.
Well, Jair was like on him most of the game, though.
It just matched them.
No, but because I was actually curious, like what they did too, and I guess like over 60% of their coverage calls were cover 2 squat, which is like the corners. They kind of like they have the hard flat, but they can sink to about like 10, 12 yards, and they have a lot of freedom. They can also they play a lot of match coverage, which matches like where you're in a zone, and then if your player goes like across the field, it turns into man coverage. So in a way, it is man coverage, but yeah, they had the recipe to beat them, and it worked. So we'll see if the Giants do that.
Yeah, that's going to be an intriguing factor. But as we talked about earlier, we're going to write off the Niners beating the Seahawks. We're going to write off the Bills beating the Dolphins. We're going to write off the what was the other one? Oh, not the Chargers, Jacksonville. That's going to be an interesting one. But What's your guys' thoughts on that game? A lot of people kind of vary in opinion. Anybody want to start off?
I think that one could go either way.
I'm going Chargers.
But yeah, so would I. If I was a betting man, I would go Chargers.
I think they got the team to do it, the offense to win that game. I would even argue they have the team in general to win the Super Bowl if they get hot. I mean, everybody knows you get hot at the right time, and I think they have the players to do it. Jaguars will be a test for them, and I think if they get through that, they could be pretty dangerous. Jaguars will be a pretty big test, especially on the road. I don't know, score prediction wise, that's a tough one. I'll go Chargers winning by a touchdown. I don't know, 24 to 17 or something.
Josh?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that. I think the Chargers definitely across the board definitely should win. I think Justin Herbert's insane. I think is Keenan Allen going to be playing?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, they're healthy. They got them beat. They got the Jaguars beat at they got them beat at running back. They got them beat at receiver. They got them beat at quarterback. I would say the Chargers defense is also better. But yeah, I mean, I don't see the Chargers winning by more than a touchdown. So I would agree with that. Maybe 27 to 20.
Take it over, Jay.
What do you?
Where do I start? First of all, Cade mentioned hottest teams. I'm not going to make any predictions this week about that. As far as the Chargers, when have the Chargers ever shown up in a big game? I can't remember the last one. I feel like the Chargers and playoffs just don't go well together. I'm going to take I saw something like the Vegas odds or whatever on this game are 50-50. It's like split right down the middle. I'm going to take Jacksonville. I think they're hot right now. Trevor's playing out of his mind. ETN's been heating up. And they look like a top 10 offense. And defensively, I still think they need some work and some help on that side of the ball. But I feel like they're a very sound football team. And how many games have they won out of the last 10? It's like 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10? Anyone know?
I want to say they won 7 out of their last 8. If I'm not correct. They were 1 and
exactly.
7, 1 and 6. They were somewhere along that line, and they went really hot towards the end of the year.
Yeah. Either one of these teams I would not want to play right now. But if I'm picking one team to stay away from right now, it's Jacksonville. I don't think they're gonna go on any sort of like Super Bowl run, but I do think they're gonna upset the Chargers. Or I don't even know if it's an upset because it's pretty even based off of Vegas right now.
Wrapping this up, I kind of want to counterclaim what Jay said relating to the fact that Jacksonville, or you were talking about how Jacksonville is kind of hot and how they look like a better team per se than the Chargers. Last Saturday, obviously Jags won and the Chargers lost last week. But the Jaguars should not have won that game against the Titans. It was way too neck and neck with a third string quarterback. And I understand division games play fairly tough, but that was just if it wasn't for a Joshua Dobbs fumble that ended up getting taken to the house, Trevor Lawrence looked like us in our backyard playing football. I think Zay Jones was wide open on a crosser to the back pylon or to the back corner, and he throws it and he sails it by at least 5 yards. And I was like, well, not necessarily something you want to see out of your first pick, but it's just obviously I can't define him by one game and one moment, but I think that's been his real test this entire year. And
how many times, real quick, my bad, Austin, audio was behind. How many times did Justin Fields sell the ball?
Oh, we're not going to talk about that guy. We can talk about that much later because we're going to get into that segment. But I just want to kind of talk about the fact that we're sailing the ball on a 20-yard pass, not a 50-yard downfield ball. We're talking about a 20-yard pass in a red zone situation. There's differences in that. Obviously, sailing the ball in those situations are different, but that's not we'll get to that later. But I kind of want to just tag on the fact that in Trevor's first real tough game, he looked iffy. And that's something that's kind of going to be, I feel like, something you have to keep on. You have to keep your eye on because that's his real first true test. And so this is going to be a second one. Even though they're at home, they were at home last week too. So it's like I'm not big on how they're looking right now. So I'd probably give it to the Chargers. And since again, it's a playoff game, it's going to play tough. But I think the Chargers will end up beating them by 2 scores. I think Justin and them will come out and they're going to end up looking like a hot squad. So I'm giving like at least like I'll give the Chargers probably like 30. It'll be like 30-17-ish in that ballpark.
I like it. Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is just really like up and down, kind of like Kirk Cousins. Like he did go on a streak of having like several few good games in a row, but then like he'll have just a week where it's like he's not even considered like a decent quarterback in the NFL. Like like last week, he didn't even like. I think that arguably without the turnovers, Joshua Dobbs had a better game, even though that was just a mid off straight up.
Yeah, I mean,
but Dobbs was making some pretty good throws.
Talking about the middle,
I didn't watch that game, so I don't want to. I don't want to act like I watched any film on Trevor Lawrence, but he's still. I just looked up. He still had a 92 passer rating, which isn't. It's not bad. That's like what Aaron Rodgers has been averaging or what he averaged this year. So he still played like a top 10 quarterback at least based off the metric if you're looking at statistically. Obviously, you guys watched the game, so you guys probably have a better idea how he played. But I don't know. I think Trevor's looked pretty damn good this year, especially down the stretch. And like I said, I don't think this is going to be any sort of blowout. I think Chargers are a damn good football team, and they have a lot of firepower on that offense with Herbert and Keenan if he plays, and Eckler and Michael Williams and other guys. But I wouldn't sleep on Jacksonville, especially because it's a home game and they're a hungry team, and they really don't have anything to lose. You know, we kind of expected the Chargers to be here. Nobody expected Jacksonville to be here. I think everyone thought they're still like a year away.
And Trevor Lawrence has never lost on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that today. He's never lost on a Saturday in high school, college, or NFL.
Wow. What was that? I was thinking of a point just a moment ago, and then I just drew a massive blank. So I guess we'll move on to our next segment. Oh wait, no, hold up. We're missing.
Yeah, we got to talk Cowboys Bucks.
Oh my God.
Give me Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady.
All right, Cade.
Tom Brady.
Oh, yikers.
It's Brady, man. He's
All right,
gonna win.
Anyone want to start, or you want me to wait? Who started?
He's going 8-0 against the Cowboys. That's all I'm going to start with.
Take it over, Jason.
Look, dog water the last couple of weeks. Give me the Bucks at home.
Okay. So it's in Tampa, right? Because they won the division.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to root. You know me, I can't stand the Cowboys. I do like Mike McCarthy, but I'm taking Tampa. I heard that they're actually getting Ryan Jensen back, who is their All-Pro center from a couple of years ago. He was an All-Pro, I believe, and that's Brady's guy. So get him back. Wouldn't be surprised if Gronk unretires this weekend and catches like 3 tutties. Very possible, but I'm gonna take Tampa, and I think Brady's probably also gonna win in the. Actually, I don't know because they might have to go to Philly, but I think Brady. No, they can't go to Philly, can they? In the divisional round.
They can.
No,
because
they're
the
the fourth
Vikings
seed.
win.
Okay. So I'm not counting out Brady. I think he's gonna win it all? No, but I wouldn't be surprised if he made it to like the NFC Championship game. I think the Bucks are heating up just a little bit. And they've been here before, you know, they know what they're doing.
Josh?
I can't say the Bucks are heating up. Then they just lose last week to Atlanta by like a lot.
They benched Brady after like at the start of the
That's
second,
true. Yeah,
so.
I remember seeing that. But I mean, yeah, you can't count Tom out in the playoffs. I mean, the Bucks. I mean, I've been so surprised that they've been so bad. I mean, they're a good team. Like if you look at the names on that team, you'd be like, wow, that's a good team. I mean, but they're not playing like it. Leonard Fournette has been just utter garbage this entire year. And what's so funny?
If you look at, I just love how you phrase that sentence. You were like, if you look at that team, they're just a good team. They just got good names on paper.
That means that
I was like,
they have good players on their rosters. What I'm saying.
no, we
Like,
understand the point you're getting at. It's just a matter of how you phrase it. It was like, yeah, well said. He's like, you basically just said, hey,
good sports team.
Tampa's got a good team. They got high overall players on Madden. Like that's how I kind of interpreted what you just said, and I was like, oh, okay.
That's pretty much right, though. I mean, that's pretty much it.
The question. How's my computer audio? Because I got logged off of the thing.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
So bad, bro.
Let me get it.
Please, bro.
Don't call on me for the next like 2 minutes because I got to do this
You're good.
login.
You're good.
Yeah.
You sound like the TikTok ear
You
rape.
can't cuss on YouTube anymore apparently, so I won't say what I want to say.
Hey,
I read that.
Jason,
Mute your
Jason,
mic.
shut up and mute your mic. I genuinely apologize for any human being who might have had to hear that just for any moment in time. That was so bad. It's not even funny.
Well, it woke them up if they were sleeping. But yeah, I mean, Tampa's got good names on the paper. You know, they got good people on their roster, but they just have been underperforming. And I think Leonard Fournette's a perfect example of that. Tom Brady, I mean, he hasn't been playing up to his own standard. Mike Evans is starting to come into his own a little bit here in the end of the season, but overall this season, he's had a pretty rough season, but still had 1,000 yards. But anyways, yeah, I think solely just because of Tom Brady, give me the Bucks by 3. I'm gonna say it'll be a pretty high scoring game, 30-33 Bucks.
I just want to interject because 2 things stood out. 1, I love how your voice cracked every single time you said Tom Brady.
Yeah, I'm kind of sick right now. Sorry.
Nah, that was just a funny thing. But another thing was Tom Brady finished second in yards, which was surprising to me.
I thought Justin Herbert did.
Tom finished second in yards, and I was like, what? He
Yeah.
had like 4,600 yards, and I was like, that dude, it felt like throughout the entire year just wasn't playing, as you said, to his standards. But he somehow, some way, finished second in passing yards. Now, everybody's like, yeah, he threw 15 more attempts than every other quarterback every game, but that's still kind of impressive.
And what was his completion percentage? Do you know?
That sounds like something Google's going to know. Let me tell you. What, Cade, you look like you're about to say something.
I was going to say, I would not guarantee, but I would guess 4,000 of those yards were to his running backs on dump off passes.
No,
Oh,
at least
well,
1,000
that's been
was the mic. So we can root
that's
that
been
out.
That's been his whole career is dump offs though.
I think him and Godwin had about 1,000 yards, so we can at least take 2,000 out.
Their success
He had a 66.8%. That's not bad.
Yeah, so 2,600 was strictly to running backs, but other than that, 2,000 of it were to Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
That's fair.
But to finalize this, I completely disagree with you guys. I think the Cowboys are going to win, and it's not, I guess it's a surprise since the Cowboys don't know how to win playoff games anymore. But I just think that the Bucks have looked so bad. Like, you guys might be like, they're winning. Am I good? Okay, cool. I think the Bucks have looked extremely bad, and they've barely beaten teams that they should have absolutely destroyed. And I want to say like 4 of the last 5 games they've played. And so, like, if we're gonna talk about like the king of the mid-off, it felt like the Bucks or the Jets were front running that spot. They just like played sloppy games against shitty opponents and just barely edged them out. And I was just like, I personally don't think that they have the capability to beat the Cowboys like they did week 1. Unless Dak gets injured again, which I'm never going to wish that upon. But I just cannot foresee a way for the Bucks to end up winning this game. So I think the Cowboys are going to win probably like 24-14 because the Bucks just don't have legitimate offensive power this entire year, even with Ryan Jensen coming back. The run
Dak's
game
gonna
is
throw him out of.
terrible. You said
He's
Dak's
gonna throw 3 picks.
You know, honestly, I could see that happening and still them winning the game because the Bucks are that bad.
It could be a very ugly game, and I feel like in a way, I feel like it's who knows. Our predictions we could totally flip. We think Giants and Minnesota might be a shootout. Or Jacksonville Chargers might be a shootout. But I think that Tampa Bay Dallas game could be ugly, where it's like a 15-12 field goal kickoff type of game where it's that midfield battle that we were talking about last weekend.
Yeah, fucking the Jets Dolphins game was the epitome of the ugliest game of football I think I've ever watched in a long time. Other than when I watched the Bears Packers play 3 years ago on opening day, where the Packers won 10-3.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when you have 2 solid defenses and 0 offense.
You're thinking of the wrong game.
What'd you say?
You're thinking of the wrong game.
Yeah.
10-3. That was
opening day. That just wasn't 4
Oh,
years.
okay.
You're
I was
thinking of when Mac.
Yeah. Do you remember 2010, 2011 when it was like week 17 to go to the playoffs, and it was 10-3? I thought you were talking about that game. I know you gave your timeout. You're talking about Matt LaFleur's first game as coach.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
It was the defense off.
Yeah, and who won that game? Adrian Amos?
Yeah, unfortunately. That was my guy.
You guys want to move into a draft?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess I'll start it off. So we have the draft order now. So I guess this week what we're going to do, which is cool with you guys, is we're going to just go through the first 5 teams, and we're going to make a pick. And we're going to discuss why and what you like about the player, how they fit the team, etc. You get the point. So we'll start with the Bears. Austin, I'll let you take this one and then pass it around when you're done and give everybody a chance to counter the pick or whatever they want to do.
So as a Bears fan, I see no way on God's green earth that we hold this position, so I'm voiding my pick, and I'm relocating to either the 4, 5, or the 6 spot, because realistically they're going to trade down. Sam even proposed that they might trade down a single spot for the Texans, but there's no way that the Bears are holding this 1 spot unless, and if I see this, I'm going to cry, they trade away Justin Fields and they draft Bryce Young. And if that happens, I'm going to be very disappointed in our management.
Yeah, that's a tough situation.
If you don't do anything, what pick are you making?
If we don't do anything, it's Will Anderson. Will Anderson, in my eyes, is a generational edge rusher, and we can make.
He's the best player in the draft, guaranteed.
Javon,
like Bryce Young, CJ, who knows what they could do, but Will Anderson will be a beast.
Javon Carter is a monster too, so I'm not going to disrespect him. I wouldn't have an issue if either one of those two, show up in a Chicago jersey. But I would be very disappointed if the Bears don't try to move this pick elsewhere.
I would agree.
Who wants to take next, Jason or Cade?
I go.
Cade, go ahead.
I think kind of just real quick to go, that first pick, just so we keep moving along. I think Austin's point on like trading down and then or like giving up that pick for future picks maybe next year type of thing would be very beneficial for them. Or getting picks later in the rounds and whatnot. But I guess to make a pick in that spot, if they're going to be the first overall pick, I have to go with an edge rusher, either in Will Anderson or Jalen McCarter, he's defensive lineman, but still, I think they have to go on that side of the ball.
Josh, you can take it next, and Jay just finish it off.
So we got 3 of the Cardinals.
No, we're sticking on the 1, and then we're passing it down to the 2, right? And then moving on from there.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. Yeah, no, I agree with what you said with the Bears. I think that they definitely should trade their pick and hopefully get something on, like, do something similar to like what the Eagles did with the Titans. And they definitely need a receiver. So maybe, I don't know. I think I've heard someone say that like if the Colts wanted to trade up to get a quarterback, they give them Michael Pittman. I think that can be a pretty good trade there. But yeah, I think the Bears should definitely try to trade because they don't need a quarterback, and that there's going to be a lot of teams that are hungry for a quarterback, and they're going to want to trade. So, see what you got.
Hey Jay, did you like your insider analysis being referenced right there?
Was that what you said?
Yeah, I did. I felt like Ian Rappaport there.
Yeah, I was like, I felt like an Adam Schefter kind of fucking comment right there. He's
no,
like,
I'm not Adam Schefter.
Due to per sources.
No.
Yeah, I didn't know who said that, but I remember seeing it somewhere.
Well, actually, it might have been Adam Schefter because it's actually false information. It's disinformation, so it would be Adam Schefter.
Anywho, we don't need to get any deeper into analysis. Well, you can take the last.
What do you say, Jason? What do you think about the Bears?
Oh boy, there's like a number of ways you can go here if you're Chicago, but if you have the first pick, and hold on, I'm drawing my water bottle. Okay. I just want to take a trip down memory lane, and so who was it that said that they should move back a spot with the Texans?
Oh, I think Sam
was it Josh?
But I talked about it.
Yeah. Okay, so what happened the last time the Bears decided to move back or up one spot?
If you talk any more about how the Bears moved up a spot compared to picking up a quarterback, this is a completely different scenario. But I just want to let you know, Jason, I'm just saying, I hope you stub your toe on your way out of this.
I probably will. Anyways, no, so I don't believe in moving up or down one spot. I don't see the point. I don't think the Bears would take Bryce Young at pick 1, especially with Justin on the roster. But if Chicago decides to move back, if they move back to like 4, 5, 6, they might be trading Justin. And I'm not saying because they might have their eyes on a guy like Will Levis. I know that Will Levis right now, or everybody's been talking about Bryce Young, but he actually, according to a lot of draft experts, he's the number 1 prospect. Not number 1 quarterback, number 1 prospect. I would definitely keep my eyes on him. If they want a quarterback with a strong arm, I know they're haunted by Aaron Rodgers for years. They might be looking for a guy like that. That's not even a shot. I'm just being honest. But if I'm the Bears and I have the number 1 pick, I'm probably just going to stay put and take Will Anderson because Will Anderson looks like Khalil Mack to me in his prime. And we saw what happened with the Bears when they had Khalil Mack. So why not go and get a generational edge rusher to start a defense, especially when you have a defensive-minded head coach?
Okay, my question to you along that lines is, I have 2. First and foremost, why would trading back to a 4 spot negate them from being able to get like a generational talent like Javon Carter or Will Anderson? Because realistically, whoever trades to the 1 spot is in desperate need for a quarterback, and then the Texans, in the same boat, probably are going to need a quarterback as well. So explain to me how them moving back to the 4 or 5 spot would lead them to missing out on a talent like that. And then my second question, which you could always answer.
Okay, first off, I agree, but here's how I got to start this off. So every year we hear generational talent, right? What does that mean? That means like this player is going to be the best edge rusher in a decade. I don't buy that. Like maybe Will Anderson will. I think he's the real deal. But Jalen Carter, is he really going to be better than Aaron Donald? Is he really going to be better than Quinnen Williams? Because Quinnen Williams, they said the same thing about. There's a lot of guys. The dude, Panthers defensive tackle,
Sam Burns,
who got drafted early. Huh?
Sam Burns?
No, D tackle. D tackle. It was the guy that got drafted like 8th overall a few years ago, and everyone said, "Oh, he's going to be the next Aaron Donald." And he's been okay. He's been pretty solid, but he's not living up to the hype. I'm just saying, we hear that every year, and most times, like, yeah, they end up being pretty damn good prospects, but not generational prospects. So I think that Will Anderson is probably the only generational prospect, and that's a stretch because is he really going to be better than Myles Garrett or Nick Bosa? I'm probably leaving somebody out on the edge. But I would say take Will Anderson and build around him. You have edge rushers, like arguably the second or third most important position on the team. Take him and build your defense around Will Anderson, and that's what I would do. And then you mentioned why wouldn't you move back? I wouldn't move back personally a couple of spots because how much draft capital are you really going to get from moving to the 1 spot to the 5 spot? I mean, I don't think it's going to be that much. Maybe you swap picks and get a second rounder, which is it's cool, but I'd rather have a generational edge rusher.
That's a valuable point. My second
You could
question.
still if the quarterbacks go right away.
What do you say?
You could still get them though if the quarterbacks go right away. Like you're saying, like someone like the Colts, the Texans who need quarterbacks, if they trade up, the quarterbacks go off the board first. You have your edge rusher sitting right there for you.
Yeah. And I mean, the Cardinals are also in a specific scenario where, like, we don't know what Kyler's situation is. But to kind of, Dylan commented in chat, Dylan Huff, he asked, what quarterback are on the Niners y'all rocking with? So I kind of want to throw that question out there, and then we can kind of move right back to it. But I feel like I would not be surprised if all of us come to the group consensus of the fact that Brock Purdy is probably their guy right now. You can't fix what's not broken.
Yeah.
Right now, or is he talking long term?
He said, like, I guess it's kind of an ambiguous question because he said, what quarterback are y'all rocking with? He didn't say, like, now, future kind of thing. So we can go with both aspects. We can talk about the current and then in the future if we want to look at it like that. So let's look at the now, and then we can address the future in a moment.
Can I start this one off?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. First off, what's going on, Dylan? Been a while. Hope you're doing well. I will say right now, I think you got to stick with Purdy just because that's a hot hand. And even if Jimmy G comes back healthy, I would probably stick with Brock because he's looked phenomenal. I think what's his touchdown interception ratio? It's like 9-1 or 8-1 right now. It's insane.
It's
yeah, it's crazy.
He has like 3
Higher?
interceptions.
Okay, I saw something like it was pretty high, but I think long term, and I know a lot of Niner fans might disagree. I think you got to stick with Trey Lance, and I would keep Brock Purdy on the roster because he is playing well and he's on a rookie deal. But I would keep Trey and I would keep Brock because I think the upside of Trey Lance is much higher. And Brock, we still have a small sample size, obviously. I would let those two compete in camp, but I definitely still think that Trey would probably be the face of that franchise, and I think Brock would be maybe the best backup in the entire NFL.
Josh, take next. Cade, you can follow, and then I'll finish.
I agree. I think as far as me personally, who I would do, I would keep Brock Purdy, especially throughout the course of the playoffs. If Jimmy G does come back, I personally would say keep going with Brock Purdy. Don't, Jimmy G is going to be rusty, and when he comes back, it's going to be a playoff game. It's not like there's any wiggle room. So keep the hot hand and see what Brock Purdy can do. And I think that, depending on what Brock Purdy does in the playoffs, will definitely have a factor in what they determine they're going to do for the 2023 season. But definitely, I was a couple weeks ago, I was thinking, keep Jimmy Garoppolo on the roster because he's Mr. Consistent. But at this point, I think you could get, I think that they are safe with Brock Purdy and Trey Lance, and that, just let Jimmy Garoppolo walk, and so you don't have to eat any more cap space on him. But I like Brock Purdy. I think I don't know if he's going to beat Trey Lance in camp or what they're going to decide, but I think Brock Purdy's the real deal.
I'm rocking with Brock now and in the future. I don't think Trey Lance is going to be worth anything. That's just my opinion. I don't think he is worth keeping around. In a San Francisco aspect, another team might really like him and want him. He could find some benefit there. Another team might find some benefit grabbing him. But I'm rocking with Brock. I think a lot depends on the playoffs too, of course. It's going to be a big stage for him, and it'll be a big test. But I mean, for me, yeah, like you said, like we'll see how it goes in camp. If two of them are together, I'll be rooting for Brock. I think Brock's the dude. I'd rather have him as my quarterback if I was the San Francisco 49ers. I just have not been impressed with Trey Lance, so I'm rocking with him now and in the future.
Really, that man was a 3rd overall pick. Like I get he hasn't done much when he's played, but man, I don't know if I'd move on to Trey that fast because he's only played like 12 games maybe max. I don't know. I would give him another shot.
He's even played that much.
You have that investment,
like
you have that 3rd overall pick, but I mean, to me, at the same time, how many times do you have a top 5 pick not work out, especially in quarterbacks? Sometimes, I mean, I understand it might be a little early, but like, there's some times that quarterbacks just don't work out. Like
Austin knows a little bit about that.
Yeah, do I?
Like, I think just to say that he's a 3rd overall pick, it carries some weight that I can't maybe quite give up on him. He's got some investment, but like that's my point would be then go sell him. I mean, that's because I'm a big Brock fan, so I mean I'd go sell him and get what you can for him and build your team that way.
I agree.
I don't even feel like finishing a point. Cade made my point for me. He basically said exactly what I kind of was thinking, which was along the lines of Brock has. I feel like the Niners do a very good job of simplifying the quarterback position, and maybe it's just because Brock's out there. Maybe it'd be a completely different scheme if he wasn't. But I really just see a high. You might say not a high ceiling for Brock, but I think he honestly does a sufficient job. His decision making is fairly good, and I think over time it's just going to become better. And he gives me like, he doesn't have like the complete arm strength, but he gives me Tom Brady kind of aspects where he just kind of does what he needs to do, and success kind of follows him. And Kyle does a good job scheming it up for him, and he's got great weapons around him. And so I mean, from the small sample that Trey Lance was out there playing, he was on the complete opposite. He kind of did too much. He wasn't giving the superstars the opportunity to make plays. He was trying to make plays for his superstars. And that's like not necessarily what the Niners need. They have a great defense. So like rely on them and then play through your superstars.
So Austin, I kind of want to go off of what you were saying a little bit. So I'm not some Brock Purdy hater. I think he's a good he's a good quarterback. He's shown that. Here's what I think of Brock Purdy. I think he plays in maybe the easiest scheme in the NFL with Kyle Shanahan. I mean, guys are schemed open left and right. I mean, all you have to do is make the right read, and somebody's going to be wide open every play. And that's the magic of Kyle Shanahan. But the point is, yes, that may be true, but you still have to execute. And execution is a huge, huge problem for most quarterbacks in the NFL. So to see his poise, and he has a lot of moxie, and he has the ability to execute, that's pretty significant and valuable. But you've got to look at what do the 49ers need on that team. Every single position on that team just about, they're stacked. I mean, the defense is best defense in the NFL, in my opinion. The O-line, I mean, they could use a little bit help on the interior, but they're not bad. And then they have as many weapons as you could need. So the only position I guess they need is quarterback. So right now, I mean, if Brock's giving you top 14, 15 level of quarterback play, but Trey Lance has that ceiling to give you top 5 quarterback play. I'm not saying he's going to, but he has the potential. He was drafted number 3 for a reason. And do you want to shoot and take a gamble? And then if you hit on Lance, you have the best team in the league for the next 10 years? Or do you want to just kind of have like a glorified Jimmy Garoppolo who I guess executes at a higher level, a little bit higher of a level than Jimmy G?
I mean, that's always a great question, but it's what kind of K tagged on earlier, which is everybody. It's the NFL. Everybody's got a high potential, a high ceiling. Some people have what we call generational talent and or generational possibilities. But as we've seen over the last 5 to 10 years, only a fraction of the top quarterbacks actually end up playing to that capability. And Trey, and as you said, the easiest scheme known to mankind, hasn't done that yet. And Brock did it in his first game. So explain to me how Trey Lance, a man who's been coddled into his whole system, who literally got slowly worked in last year to play in his first game. Now, obviously, he hasn't had a big sample size. It's unfair for me to say this, but I'm going to have to say this because of what I've seen. Trey didn't look like Brock did in his first game. Trey looked like he was scrambling for his life. Brock looked like the world didn't exist around him. He was creating his world. And I'm like, it's a different of composure, but Brock looks like an older quarterback than Trey. So as you said, like risk is a necessity if you want to invest in Trey, but why would you go against what you have right now that's obviously already working? Like you could bank on what may happen, but I feel like it's too early for us to have this conversation truly, because if Brock leads them to a Super Bowl, if Brock wins the Super Bowl, we'd be sitting here saying, now Trey Lance is in a terrible spot, no matter how you value it. I mean, maybe not a terrible spot, but a terrible spot regarding the Niners, because he ain't going to be there. You can't get rid of Brock at that point. He just led you to a Super Bowl and won it. So it's like, we have to kind of foresee how these playoffs play.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, jumping back to the conversation we were having earlier.
Second pick.
To the second pick we go, to the Texans. I'll let Josh start off, because Josh, you're probably gonna have to dip out soon, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna leave in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, so let's try to get that throw first.
I think it'll depend on what the Bears do for sure, but they're definitely gonna take a quarterback. Personally, I think I'd take CJ Stroud over Bryce Young, but I think unless something changes, whatever happens at the combine and all of these, all the different, what the teams hold, what's the exact name for them? Little, workouts or whatever. But I think they'll probably go Bryce Young, and I think they'll end up being disappointed. I think Bryce Young's undersized. I really don't see him being a great NFL quarterback. I really don't. And I don't know, but I think that's what they'll do. I think they'll stay put and grab the best quarterback they have available.
Jay, one of you
All right,
follow it up.
Hold on, I got to touch on that one. So what pick are we talking? Houston?
Yeah.
Second pick.
Yeah. So he's the one player that I've actually, pro player I've actually seen in person. In high school, we had like a 7-on-7 for a travel team I was on. Watching Bryce Young in person, that dude has a freaking cannon for an arm. He's crazy. Bryce Young is absolutely crazy, and he's not I'm not gonna act like he's as big as some of these other guys. He's not 6'4", 6'5". He's more of like a Russell Wilson. I think he's a little bit bigger than Russ. He's about
he's 6 foot 190.
Yeah, so it's not like he's like Kyler Murray, it's not huge, but it's not
right.
He's not some 5'8" quarterback trying to play in the NFL. But I will say, I think Bryce Young's a real deal. He reminds me a lot of Russell Wilson, and I think that's maybe a little bit of a lazy comparison, but I would say he's just got a lot of poise. He's got a lot of comfortability in the pocket. When he gets out, he makes plays, and he makes some of these insane throws. I think if Bryce Young was like 6'2", 6'3", it would be a slam dunk that he'd be the first pick. But people were going to say, oh, he's only 6 foot or whatever. give the man a shot. I mean, we saw it Russ did in Seattle for a decade. I don't see why Bryce Young can't do that.
You could be right, but I just think that C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, even maybe Stetson would be better.
All right, I disagree with that last name, but other than that, you can make the possibility for the other two.
Bruh, Stetson looked crazy in the
I don't think
playoffs. You cannot lie.
I don't know if the grown man playing amongst boys is the guy we're going to reference right now.
But hey, if you can get 5 good years out of Stetson, there's no team that's going to pass on him. If you knew that in the future that Stetson was going to be a great quarterback for the next 5, 6, 7 years, any team would be happy to have that.
Look, I like Stetson, but he reminds me of Brock Purdy. He's in the perfect system. He's got every Lamborghini that you can imagine around him as his weapons. He has the best defense of probably all time. I mean, that dude is playing like Madden on rookie mode. So, and he's 25. The dude is 25 playing with, God, like what, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds. And if you look at, I mean, Cade, you know this because you played sports. I mean, you still play sports. But what would it be like if you were playing on varsity and you were, I don't know, 17 and there was a guy who's like 19? You would notice a little bit of a difference, right?
Oh, absolutely. Just developmental wise, maturity, I think, carries such a big weight that people don't talk about. Like, he's obviously looks very mature. He kind of acts a certain way that I wouldn't particularly like, but he acts in a way where it's very cocky because he's very confident, way older than everybody else. He believes in himself, which helps. But yeah, it's a big deal. The age difference.
He's not down. Don't get me wrong. He's not my top prospect, but I think that he will pan out better than Bryce Young. And maybe I'm wrong. I said the same thing about Lamar Jackson. So
I'm just saying, like, look, I'm 21. If I went, so he's playing against guys like he's about 5 years older than, right? If I went and played against 16-year-olds, so that'd be like JV level, any sport, I feel like we would all dominate.
Okay, that's an unfair comparison. Most sports, That's an unfair comparison because that's a different, it's a different developmental period.
Yeah. The man's 25.
The difference between 25 and 23 isn't that crazy. I mean, I'm not there yet, but
most guys aren't playing at 23. They're like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah, the difference I'd say is when I came in as a freshman.
What are you talking about? Any quarterback in the NFL right now is at least 23.
They could be 22.
No, agreed, quarterback, but I'm saying other positions. Like most like star running backs and receivers are in the draft like 21, 22 max.
Yeah.
Coming into college as a 18, 19-year-old, playing against someone who's Stetson Bennett at the extreme of 25, like it's a huge deal. Like when I came in as a freshman, playing with full grown men at 24, 23, which is at like the usual age of what a senior should be, is a massive difference. That's why you have like the ability to redshirt as a freshman to like develop and get older and bigger. And like Jay's saying, like if you're coming in as a freshman or a sophomore, you're still like not even close to what a 25-year-old would be.
So the way you're putting it, he's got an advantage.
Definitely, I think, but in a way, but the NFL is a whole different animal. I think
he ain't got no advantage there, dog.
I don't think so either.
Quarterback.
That's the only thing that's hurting him. If he was 23 and he was playing like he is right now, y'all wouldn't be saying.
Absolutely.
I still disagree, but Stetson Bennett.
Okay.
You're bruh.
Like Josh is saying, if he's 23, he'd be in the talks of the top 10 quarterbacks being drafted. But
hey,
Max top 10 as old as he is now, he'd be in the top 3.
Max is not even in the talks, and he's a
Duggan's
senior.
Probably not going to be a first-round pick.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Stetson would be in the same boat. His system carried him as a quarterback, unfortunately. So it's unrealistic for you to put him in the top 32. But anyhow, we'll move on to. I think we kind of addressed.
You don't think he'll be a top 32 quarterback taken in the draft?
Oh no, I think he'll be a top 32 quarterback drafted, but I just don't think he'll be in the first round. In the first 32.
No, I don't think so either. And I think he's going to end up going to a team where he's going to sit a couple of years, which won't help.
Stetson?
But yeah,
he's undrafted. I'm banking on the fact that man is not getting drafted.
Okay, he's not undrafted. He's not
You're out of your
undrafted.
mind.
You're crazy.
They signed him as
Dude, he
Yeah.
was a Heisman runner-up. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
he's gonna be.
He's
You don't win
25.
2 national championships, Austin. You don't win 2 natties and then go undrafted. He'll be a late first round, early
No.
second round pick.
Also,
that
man,
man.
the whole COVID year of
That's
eligibility,
crazy.
whatever, that's
No.
going to mess up people's ages for the next few years. And Stetson, this draft class is really the first, like what we're seeing of that.
Josh,
Also,
23 and 25
Josh.
are again a large discrepancy right there. That's 7 years of college.
Josh.
This man could have completed his law degree at this point in time. This is what we're
But
pointing
if
out.
But if it weren't for COVID, he'd be 23, 24.
24 is still older. He's older than literally, I think, 5 of the starting playoff quarterbacks. Stetson's older than them.
Well, that
Okay,
also
real
is-
quick, I want to say
there's
something.
no one over the
So-
age of 27 in this class except for Tom Brady, I think, or in this playoff race.
All right, real quick. So I want to say something. I'm glad that Josh is not running the Packers, which actually, I think if Josh and I ran the team together, we could do some damage. But this man, his idea already is to tank for Arch when Arch isn't even in college yet.
I
and
didn't
this guy
say
said,
I didn't
you
say
said it
take.
was
All I've said is that I want Arch on the team eventually.
No, I agree. I do too. That's our plan in a couple of years. But anyway, so I was gonna say, so Josh, you mentioned about how you would draft Stetson over Bryce Young, and then you'd sit him. That dude would retire by the time you play.
I didn't say I would sit him. I said he's going to go to a team where they're not going to play him over a Justin Herbert or something like that.
Yeah, so we're talking
You know
about,
how old he is, right? You sit him for 5 years, 3 years, and he's already like almost like 30. He's past his prime.
dude, yeah.
I don't think they'll sit him that long. It's just a matter of time. You never know.
Imagine drafting your quarterback, him being older than your starting quarterback, and then realizing that he's going to sit on your
All right.
bench for a long amount of time. And you sit
All
over
right,
here like,
let me
well,
ask you this. Let me ask you this: if Joe Burrow was 25 and the same, both championship winners, and you knew that he was going to play like Joe Burrow, would you care about his age?
Oh, Joe Burrow's a better player than Stetson Bennett. Don't make that comparison.
I'm just
Absolutely.
saying. But would you
We're talking about
if you
Joe
knew that he
Burrow.
was going to be that kind of talent, would you care how old he was?
For how long? For how long?
You said when he's
Till
25.
he's 35. Till he's 35. Most quarterbacks
So,
play
I get-
at an elite level to that
and then-
age.
And then is he gonna like slowly decline, or is he gonna be like Carson Wentz?
Where he slowly
He'll be like
declines.
Ben. He'll be like Ben Roethlisberger,
Ben couldn't
Slow-
throw a football last year.
slowly but surely.
That's because
Yeah,
that
but still-
man played like a
Okay, then
crackhead.
So if you're telling me I could get a top 3 quarterback for 10 years, I'm drafting him. But we're talking about Joe Burrow, who had Joe Burrow's the top 3 quarterback right now. I think without a doubt. I think it's him, Allen, and Mahomes, and I think you could even argue he's number 2. He's played out of his mind. If you're telling me I could get Joe Burrow, a top 3 quarterback for 10 years, then yeah, I'm going to take him. But Joe Burrow coming out of college, it wasn't even a question. It was like unanimous who everybody would take. Number one, that man won the national championship. I believe he had like 65 touchdowns, some insane record like that. And that's not even in a full NFL season. That's a college year. And he won the Heisman, and he came out of nowhere. So I think these are 2 different things. I think the only thing Joe Burrow lacked was arm strength. But I mean, that dude is literally my comparison for him. I saw it on a YouTube channel, and I'm going to steal it. Tom Brady from the waist up, Aaron Rodgers from the legs down.
That's a fair comparison.
I like it.
That dude's
I'm
got
just
a
saying. I
dog.
think he's a better talent. I think he has a better arm. I think he has better. Well, I don't know if I can say a better arm. He did. I mean, I'm just going based off really what I watched in the playoffs, and because I didn't watch Georgia games throughout the season, but I mean, dude was throwing bombs, and he looks super composed, and I mean, he had all the time in the world, which helps. But I think I don't know, dude. I think he's a better talent than what I've seen out of Bryce Young in the few games I've watched of Alabama as well.
That's fair.
Let's
So that's fair. There's it's hard to argue against two national championship ones, but so I guess because we're kind of rambling, what would you guys do if you're the Cardinals at 3? Because we got to get through these.
yeah, I
Yeah.
Austin, you want to start?
yeah. Um, the Cardinals are in a quite an interesting position that Kyler's not really their guy. It doesn't look like it anymore. Cliff's gone, so we don't know whoever may come in may reintroduce a completely different scheme, a different.
I got to interrupt you for 1 sec.
Okay.
Just because it kind of goes with that. So I saw that the owner actually said that he wants Kyler Murray to help him with the coaching search. So that to me that tells me he probably is the guy, at least for now. But maybe you saw something else.
No, you're definitely
No, I
right.
saw that too.
And so that was kind of what I was thinking more so. I was thinking that even if Kyler isn't their guy, I don't think there's a guy in this draft at that point in time that they're going to be able to replace who will end up filling the void that they really need. And with JJ being gone, I feel like it's a perfect time for them to take this opportunity to grab Javon Carter. I feel like another acquisition, huh?
Keep saying Javon. It's Jalen.
Is it Jalen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
Okay.
I'd personally take Miles Murphy over him. I mean, I think Jalen Carter's really good, but I think Miles Murphy fills. I don't know who they got on their D line, honestly, but Miles Murphy fills J.J. Watt's spot better.
No, I agree. I just think that they need some sort of they need help on the defensive line now, even more than they did before. And I feel like Carter would be a definite. So yeah, I think Jalen Carter would be probably the best option to go with at that point in time.
I agree.
Are we just coming to a unanimous?
Are you?
I like it. No, I think you can't go wrong, honestly.
Honestly,
But I wouldn't draft a quarterback if I were them.
Yeah, I'm trying to go. I agree with that.
If I'm the Cardinals, I'm either taking tackle because their lines have been pretty terrible the last, forever, really. Can't remember the last time the Cardinals had a good O-line, maybe with like Palmer. And if you're not going to take a quarterback, then you're going to have to go probably Jalen Carter or Austin's eyes, Javon Carter.
Yeah.
That's who I would think. I don't.
Who's that tackle that plays for Ohio State?
Their defensive tackle or offensive tackle?
Paris something.
I don't think any of our boys are even in regards for a top 10 pick right now.
Paris Johnson, offensive tackle.
Yeah, I think that's it.
He's projected at the Titans pick. That's where they see him. But yeah, Paris Johnson Jr. I think is who we're talking about.
Yeah, dude's 6'6", 310 pounds. Dude's a freaking animal.
Yeah, that'd be a solid pick. So moving on, unless you guys want to keep going with the Cardinals, but who would you guys take if you're the Colts for the 4th pick, or do you move up to that number 1 spot and try to get Bryce Young? Or according to Sam, C.J. Stroud, I don't buy it personally, but I think they would. I guess I'll start this since I brought it up. If I'm the Colts at 4, I'm going to stay at 4, and I'm going to take Will Levis. I know you guys haven't really talked about him much, but I think the dude's got a cannon. Anybody who writes off Will Levis, my response is, how many Kentucky games have you watched? Because that guy can play, and I think he's going to be a damn good quarterback. He's got some crazy arm talent, and I think sitting at number 4, you don't have to move up to get him. Why not? Why not take a shot? And I think the Colts are kind of done with picking up these washed-up veteran quarterbacks. They've done that 3 times now, and I think it's time, or maybe 4, because Brissett, Philip, I don't count Brissett, but Rivers, Wentz, and then obviously Matt Ryan was a terrible idea, and in hindsight. But I'm thinking Will Levis. What are you guys doing?
I like it, but don't be surprised when you see Derek Carr wearing the blue and white.
I unfortunately agree with Josh. History tends to repeat itself, and this history seemingly has no end. I can imagine the Colts drafting right here, and then snagging Derek Carr in this offseason because that's just such a Colts thing to do. What are you pulling up right now?
Oh, I was muted. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I was just gonna say it must be like the little microphone thing that listens to everything you say on your phone. I go on Instagram, the first thing that pops up is Derek Carr highlight.
Yeah, no, it's really an unfortunate situation, but the Colts really, as you said, the last 4 years they've continued to saw out a veteran quarterback, and you really hope this year that it changes. I'd be completely fine with them going after Stroud, going after Levis, but some bad part of me just really feels like they're gonna just do the same thing they've done the last 4 years, and just hope that
Derek
something
Carr,
different
Jimmy
happens.
Garoppolo. You know what I kind of like more than that, because I don't want to see the Colts go down in flames once again, is Derek Carr to the Panthers.
Hmm.
I think that'd be a pretty good option.
I think DJ would stay at that point, happily, not get traded.
I think Derek Carr is going to be decent. He's decent at right now, but I don't. He's not going to go win any teams in like Super Bowls or anything. But I think he's going to be pretty consistent, 2,000, 2,500 yard guy.
Hope he throws for more than that.
Did everybody get a chance to talk?
Has he ever thrown over 3,000?
I hope so.
Yeah, Derek Carr almost won MVP in like 2015 or something. He almost won MVP.
I want to say he's done over 4,000 before.
He threw 3,500 this year.
Yeah, he's terrible. He's not terrible. He's top 18 guy in my opinion. Top 20. Maybe a little better.
Josh, you should probably
Cade,
head out.
Cade, who did you pick for the Colts?
Yeah, I was about to say, I got looking at Derek Carr's stats.
I said Will.
He's had a couple.
In my first pick.
Oh, nice.
He's had a couple 3,000 yard seasons, around 3,000.
I wanted to get to the Seahawks and start it off. For okay with
yeah,
that.
All right, yeah, I'm ahead out, boys.
Later, Josh.
Later,
All right, later.
So with the Seahawks, I think they have also another interesting spot to be in, as we talked about with the Cardinals, Kyler. I think the Geno situation is also very interesting. I think we both kind of touched earlier on Lamar and with the Ravens, but I think how I would do it is, I mean, obviously you got to see how the draft goes, see who gets picked up and see what's left as it gets to you. I don't think it's worth trading up for them unless for some reason in their draft room or something that they think they just need to go get a quarterback. They're done with Geno or whatever else. I don't think they need to go get up any higher for any sort of defensive player or whatnot. It would probably just be strictly a quarterback kind of move. With that, I don't think, like I said, they need to go after a quarterback. I think Geno has proved some sort of viability for them. I think if they wanted to, though, and they wanted to get a quarterback, they can sit there at that 5 spot and either get CJ, Bryce, or Will on whoever is left coming through the draft order. And I still think I kind of agree with Jay overall. I think Will Levis would be my first pick for any of these teams that need a quarterback, in my opinion. And I think depending on how you use them, we'll factor that. But I think Will is probably the best quarterback in my opinion. I think CJ Stroud is very close second. I don't think you can go wrong with CJ.
Jay, you can take it and I'll finish off.
Okay. Seattle's in a tough position, I think, because of the Geno Smith. Kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think he was some elite quarterback this year, but I do think he was I would say, where would you guys rank him? I would say like 12 to 14 range because he kind of slowed down. Would you guys agree with that? Or...
This year, yeah. I think I try to think of like future and just overall. I would still place him in the top 20. I think he'd probably 15 to 20 range.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think Seattle has a lot of young talent, and when you have a lot of young talent, you've got to find the quarterback. on a rookie deal. So if I were Seattle, God, go get C.J. Stroud at pick 5 if he's there, and if he's not, pick the best available player. That's what I would do. Go get another. I mean, I don't even know like who would you pick at that point because they already have 2 good tackles, they already have good corners, they have good receivers. So I guess it's just kind of at that point it's just like a luxury. Maybe they could get an edge guy or an interior D lineman like a Jalen Carter if he falls. But if I'm Seattle, I'm probably going to go whoever's left between Levis and Stroud at pick 5.
I'm in agreement with Jay. I think it's really, and I mean, I feel like we all came to this kind of agreement where it's like whatever plays out in front of them, they have no real reason for them to push for a pick higher. They might even trade back, but I don't know because as you said, like they look like they're in a solid spot, and unless they're really invested in getting a new quarterback, which is to be told, like there's so many camps that these guys have to go through when they're doing exercises for these teams and doing specific programs. So we have to see who specifically ends up they might fall in love with. They might fall in love with a defensive guy who they feel like they can go grab later on. So it's like it's always super hard to kind of speculate this far forward with kind of the trades that might happen up ahead. But I think the safest thing they can do is pick the best available at this spot, whether that being a quarterback, whether that being another edge rusher. I think Texas Tech's edge rusher, either that or Miles Murphy. I think it's Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech or Miles Murphy. Probably looks like the 2 best defensive options that they could end up grabbing. Because I think Carter or Anderson will be gone by that point.
What about Breesy at Clemson, defensive lineman?
Yeah, he's pretty good too. Yeah, Breeze or whatever. I don't know his name, but I know who you're talking about. He's pretty good. I guess moving on, if you guys are done with that part, what do you do right now? Or I guess first let's update people on what's going on. Do you guys know what's going on right now with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens? And like a lot of people think that the injury thing, like he's not trying to play through it. They don't know how severe it is because of the contract problems and not having guaranteed money. What do you guys take away from all of it, and what do you do if you're Lamar, and what do you do if you're Baltimore?
I kind of want to start off on this. So to kind of give more background, I think Lamar was anticipated to sign a contract at the start of this year, and he's obviously representing himself, and obviously that ended up falling through. They haven't agreed to a contract right now. So if I was Lamar Jackson, I have been injured as of, I think it was week 13, if I'm not incorrect. And he's been sitting out since then. So this is his 6th week, or it's week 14, and this is his 5th week missing in a row. One of those 2. He has no incentive to show up for this ball team. And with him not showing up, I want to say he's leaning to the fact that he has no interest in playing here anymore, because I don't think that really shows great teamwork and camaraderie to the guys who have been busting their ass this entire year for you to not to reciprocate that. Now, looking at it from his perspective, he wants money, and he's not guaranteed anything really at this point to what he deserves. And he could possibly get injured and end up losing this contract in the future if he comes back. So it's kind of a tough situation that he's sitting in. But if I was Lamar, I wouldn't play until I got guaranteed money. You have to be looking forward for yourself, because that's the only person who matters at the end of the day. And then obviously I say that in respect to supporting whoever you may support in that choices. If you're Baltimore, and this is a very scummy thing to do, franchise tag Lamar and deal with this in another year. Now, with that being said, if you franchise tag him, he's just going to sit out for 17, 18 games, but he might end up getting some Deshaun Watson allegations against him in that time frame too. So who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bold statements. Okay, take it over.
I don't have too much to add, really. I think I pretty much agree with you on all aspects. As I don't know if we continue to speculate on what certain teams are going to do and kind of guess. I think that what Lamar has done, especially with how long he sat out from that injury, when he's expected to come back at a certain week, gets pushed back even further. Now they're in the playoffs. For some reason now he is not playing again. It's quite odd to me, especially I think as well as just like as a competitor and a player. And it's I don't know. Part of me is also frustrated because it's like, is it about the money for him right now? All of a sudden, type of thing. Because then it's like it should be about being a competitor and winner and wanting to, now you have a playoff chance. Why don't you go win a Super Bowl? Like that's the ultimate goal for every team. So for me, it's like it's just weird and kind of frustrating in a way. And part of me is like, why don't you just franchise tag him anyway, in a way, and screw him, like in some sort of way, like, and maybe even force him to play with that kind of tag on him, so that if he doesn't play, people have to start speculating, oh, what's he going to do after maybe a year hiatus type of thing, almost like an Antonio Brown situation. We know how that one turned out. So I think that could be very interesting on how that all works.
Jason, I like to appreciate the emotion that you're giving from this area when you hear something that may or may not be controversial. That was great. We appreciated that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have to use my computer volume to hear, and then I have to talk through my phone. So I have to like mute one and then unmute the other. It's a little complicated because I can't hear well on the phone. And obviously, I don't want to kill you guys when I talk on my computer. Yeah, so it's a tough situation. I don't even know if Lamar is actually. I mean, do we know if he claims he's hurt? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd feel like it's, I feel bad if he's actually hurt and we're just making assumptions. But it does kind of seem like he's hurt at the most important time of the year, when he's not getting paid. It does seem a little bit suspect, and it seems suspicious. So I'm going to say if he isn't hurt and he's not playing, I don't get it. It's kind of like what Cade was saying. I mean, Cade, like when you missed a game in baseball, did you ever miss any games like in high school?
Not that I remember. No, not for like a
Or
speculative
when you were
interest.
younger?
You know what I mean? Like,
Have you ever missed a game in your life?
no, not unless I was, absolutely down and out. Or,
Yeah. Okay. Well, Cade has perfect health, so I guess he's never missed a game. I've missed a couple games, and I'll just say it's like the worst feeling. Like you just want to be out there, as bad as you can. So I don't understand how Lamar, especially for the playoffs, like doesn't want to be out there. But then again, $300-400 million can probably do that. If I don't know if this is going to be a popular decision, but if I'm the Ravens, I'm thinking, okay, he's like what, 26, 20, he's around that age. So I'm saying, okay, well, yeah, realistically, how many years is he going to be dynamic? How many years is he going to be able to run like Lamar Jackson and run our offense through him and not just be a passer? And I'm saying, okay, who wants Lamar Jackson? I want 5, 6 first-round draft picks. And I'm going to go trade. I don't know if we're going to get 5 or 6, but I think you get 4 or 5 for him. I mean, he's a top 6, 7 quarterback in the league. It's not going to be you disagree? Because I think if you're talking about over the course of 5 years, you could probably get 4 or 5 first-round picks for him.
I think age plays a big indicator in that, so that's where I'll agree with
you.
He's
young.
I was going to say, that's where I'll agree with you. The big if I have is because Lamar Jackson is not as proven in the pass game. That's like the real, it's the real risk. He's coming off of an injury.
He is.
He's not going to be, he's proven in the pass game, or he's not?
Well, so as a runner, he's the best runner in the league. As a passer, he's like a top 15 passer.
He's the second best runner in the league, just to clarify.
No, he's the best.
No,
Lamar Jackson's a running back.
Justin's a better running back than he is. hands down.
No, I'm
He's a faster running back.
taking Lamar.
I would argue that
I'm
Josh
putting-
Allen
bro.
might be one of the best running.
You could make an argument, honestly, in the sense of he's just a bull that runs
Yeah.
through people.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, but I'm saying we've never seen a quarterback like Lamar in terms of running ability. Maybe besides like Michael Vick, but I think Lamar he one-ups him on that. But Vick was a better passer. I think his style and the way that he likes to run and be aggressive and all this stuff and juke and jump over guys, I don't like it. I mean, it's fun to watch if it was sustainable, but I'm trading him and 74, 5 first round, second round draft picks, and you can have him. And we don't pay him. We'll go get a guy. We'll keep building our roster, build up the defense more, and we'll find a quarterback next year, or we'll get a veteran like Derek Carr in there to be a bridge quarterback for a year, until we want to draft, a guy down the road. That's my opinion. I mean, I know how good Lamar is, but in 5 years from now, is he really going to be running like he is now?
Thank you for nailing my point and why a team would never trade 4 to 5 first round picks for a man who isn't sustainable for the next 5 years.
So how much did they trade for the masseuse, Deshaun Watson?
No way
Because
they traded
that guy,
5 fucking first rounders.
they didn't do 5, but I think it was.
And
it
he's
was
a better
it was
quarterback.
a lot of picks. He is a better quarterback. I agree. Maybe not now, but definitely like when they were both, playing full seasons. But Lamar Jackson, I mean, yeah, somebody will give up 4 first round draft picks to
So
get Lamar Jackson.
I just want to clarify that trade for Watson. Houston traded Watson
like 2
a
firsts,
6th rounder in 2024 for 3 first round picks, 2022, 2023, and 2024, a 3rd round pick in 22, and a 4th round pick in 2024. They traded 3 first round for a dude who was leading the league in passing and a man who was more distinguished of a player.
And a dude who had like 80 at one point, 80 sexual assault allegations, and they traded 3 first round picks and gave him $250 million guaranteed dropped at his front door. So you're telling me somebody's not going to give Lamar Jackson the bag and give him pay up for first round draft pick? There's some desperate teams out there, and this is Lamar Jackson we're talking about. He won MVP a few years ago.
There's only 2 teams that I think of that would pull some stupid shit out of their ass like that. It's the Colts and it's the Raiders, because only those 2 teams I could see pulling some stupid shit like that. It just like I just don't think that a quarterback, it's like you nailed it. He's not sustainable. How can you invest more than 3 first round, 3 of your future possible studs? And obviously not all your best players come from the first round, but like it's your lottery guys, and you're trading that away for a dude who may or may not touch the field for more than 3 or 4 years without getting crunched.
So you don't think if the Ravens called up the Dolphins right now and said, send us Tua and 3 first round draft picks and we'll give you Lamar? You don't think the Dolphins would agree to that? Because
No.
Tua's health, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Lamar Jackson's Lamar.
You could probably get somebody else. I just don't think Lamar is somebody I would be shooting for.
Okay, maybe that's a bad example, but I'm gonna say there is a team out there, like a team like not Houston because they have a top pick right now, but a team like Carolina that just needs a spark. A team like Washington where the coach, like his job is on the line. Like they have to be good this year. I can see a team like Washington going, you know what? Fuck it. We want Lamar Jackson. We need a freaking superstar quarterback in here because we need to go take a crack at this thing. Otherwise, we're all going to get fired. So I could see a team like Washington, Carolina doing it, and maybe I don't know about Detroit because I think they're a bit smarter. But God, Lamar in Detroit, that'd be pretty cool. Do I think it's going to happen? No. Would I do it personally? No. But I think somebody is dumb enough to pay 4 first round draft picks for Lamar. I mean, did you know what happened about how RG3 got drafted? You know how many first round draft picks the Rams or the Redskins paid up to get the Rams pick?
How many?
I don't know, but I know it's a lot.
I don't know if
I'll look it up right now.
your number is extremely high. Like, I would maybe trade two
It's really not.
first-round picks, dude. It's just
It's really
because
not.
if you were trading
Dude.
like a pocket passer,
They-
somebody whose
Okay,
health
you
wouldn't be
realize
on the
Green
line.
Bay. You realize Denver wanted to give Green Bay 3 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers at age 38. 3 first-round picks for a 38-year-old quarterback.
This is Denver we're talking about, man. Literally, did you see their
So-
offensive scheme this entire year, dude? Like,
I'm
They-
just saying that's my point. There's a team dumb enough to give up 4 first-round, 5 first-round draft picks for Lamar Jackson.
I'm saying from
Anyway,
my
we
perspective,
gotta move on.
I just can't imagine.
We
But
gotta
no, I
move
agree.
on.
We do need to move on.
Okay. Okay, so we have 2 more segments. The first one, or not first one, the 4th segment of the night is potential quarterbacks on the move. So guys like Derek Carr,
Lamar Jackson.
Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson.
Aaron
Those
Rodgers.
are Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers potentially. Justin Fields is possible. There has been some speculation. I don't think it's going to happen. And who else? Are we missing anybody major? Tua? Probably not.
Jimmy.
I feel like
Jimmy's on the market.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
We're not going to talk about Matt Ryan because
No,
he
he's
ain't worth the
irrelevant.
time.
Yeah.
Younger
I think he'll
quarterbacks.
retire.
The Henny Man, I don't think we're really going to talk about. Is Carson Wentz on a 1 year?
Heineke? Are you talking about Heineke?
Yeah, Taylor the Henny Man.
Yeah, I think we hit. I don't think Dak's gonna leave, but there's like rumors that they're kind of fed up with him. Geno's another one. Trey Lance, the whole Niners quarterback. Austin, you want to start this off, and then we'll go Kate, and then me.
Yeah, so there's a lot of names to kind of dissect in that whole thing. I kind of want to talk about the major players in that. We'll talk about like Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. I'll let you kind of talk more about Aaron Rodgers, but Jimmy G, and we'll do. Did I already say Lamar? And we'll do Lamar. That'll be the people I'll kind of focus on. We kind of already touched on the Lamar, so I won't go too much more in detail. But I don't think Lamar's going anywhere. Tom, I think Tom should end up going. Now, where he ends up, a lot of people have speculated he might be an Oakland Raider. I don't see that happening. I really don't see that happening. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Las Vegas. Thank you. Yeah, I don't believe he's going to be a Vegas Raider for many reasons, but I just think that he needs. I don't think Vegas has necessarily the tools that he would want to succeed. He wants like a really pre-built team at this point. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Tom hangs up the cleats, Giselle kind of wore him down this season. He might just be like, you know what, like, I think this is it. Maybe becoming an analyst because he's kind of done yelling at all of his teammates, and he'll yell at us, the viewers. Moving on, Jimmy G. I feel like we kind of talked a little bit about this earlier. He probably will end up, unfortunately, in my eyes, to the Colts because the Colts just like taking veteran quarterbacks who have no ceiling anymore. So he's probably going to end up there. He could also end up in Vegas. He could end up in, I hope not in any other teams that come to mind. Oh, well, the Commanders. I don't know necessarily if they want to take that route. The Lions and the Seahawks will not take that route. They already have a better situation on their hands. He won't end up as a Bear. Moving along, we have Aaron Rodgers. I feel like Jason already kind of told me a little bit about his speculation. I would not be surprised. Now, hear me out. If he ended up as a Raider, in the fact that him pairing with Devontae, because that connection's obviously shown to be pretty good in years past. But other than that, I really can't imagine him going to anywhere other than maybe San Francisco, because that's obviously a target destination for anybody if they can make it happen. And the only two players that could walk into San Fran and actually take over that starting role would be A-Rod and Tom. Lamar could too, but I don't think Lamar's going to end up leaving. But those are kind of like the talking points that I want to talk about. So I'll pass it to Cade.
What other quarterbacks have we?
Dude, there's a boatload. He was talking about A-Rod, Tom Brady, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields.
I mean,
Carr, Derek Carr. I get my volume sucks.
I think Derek Carr's situation. I don't know. I mean, I see him staying. I don't know in a way why you would need to be getting rid of him. I see how he was unhappy and was very unhappy about that sitting situation and whatnot at the very end, and it probably will be the factor in why he does leave. But I don't know. As a Raiders owner, I'd be like, why also get rid of him though? In a way, like you're not going to get much back in return. I don't think. Potentially, I don't know. With I think Tom Brady. I mean, I kind of want him to hang him up. I should have hung him up when he won the Super Bowl a couple years ago and did it with the Bucks. I mean, that was, I think, the time to do it. I don't think he should have came back. And if after this year ends with the Cowboys loss or winning or losing to the Cowboys, I think I think it's time for him to hang him up and, like you said, become an analyst and maybe join the Peyton Manning and Eli Manning show. But yeah, with regards to, I don't know, A-Rod, I mean, same thing. It's like, I would say, part of me is like, where else can you go? What else are you going to find that's too much better in a way? Yeah, I think leaving it at that is kind of not the most exciting, but like for me, it's what else are you gonna really gain? It's almost just kind of swapping apples for apples in a way. You're just kind of swapping a piece that gets traded out for another piece. It might be just as better or as good, and it's kind of boring to me in a way. I think that's how I could see it being played out.
Okay, you want me to take over?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start with A-Rod. He's not going anywhere. And here's what I'm going to say. He's either going to retire or he's going to stay in Green Bay. He has said over and over and over that he's thinking about retiring. He's contemplating it. He has other interests outside of football. What does that make you think if you're a general manager or an owner of another team? This man's going to retire. Why would I want him? You know, I think he's done that intentionally. He's a very calculated specimen, and he knows what he's doing. He's trying to back the Packers organization into a corner, and I'm glad he's doing it. So they're pretty much forced to bring him back or say, you know what, retire, and we're going to roll the dice for Jordan Love, which they've already kind of done by drafting him. But yeah, I don't see A-Rod going anywhere. The dead cap penalty is also pretty significant, which is doable if they wanted to trade him. But after the season he had, how much could you really get for Aaron Rodgers at this point? If he does go somewhere, I would be surprised, but I would say San Fran. I don't know if they're looking at a Rodgers or a Brady, but that would be ideal. But think about this one. How about the New York Jets? They have that Mike LaFleur. He's the offensive coordinator, and Matt LaFleur's brother. So
he's not. They parted ways this week.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Mike, he got fired?
Yeah, Mike's gone.
Is Robert Saleh's still there, though, right?
Yeah, he is. I just want to
confirm that. Yeah, that might not be an option. I didn't hear about that. Wow. So I can see Tennessee as an option. I know Rodgers and Vrabel have a really good friendship there. New England's possible. I just don't know if they have the weapons. Vegas is always an option, but Vegas actually probably makes the most sense. But I don't see Rodgers leaving Green Bay personally. I think he comes back, but I'm going to move on and let's go to who's the other quarterback you want me to touch on? Gino?
Do you already talk
or
about
who's
Derek?
The other one? I've only talked about Rodgers. So yeah, Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr goes to Carolina. I think that it makes a lot of sense. A Carolina or a Commanders, like one of those teams. I think the Colts are kind of done with this whole veteran, mediocre quarterback. I think they're going to actually draft someone this year. And I think Carr ends up on like a Carolina or Washington or even like Jets make sense. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of in the same boat. To me, Jimmy G and Derek Carr are like almost the same player. I think Derek Carr might just be a little bit better. Garoppolo maybe a little bit more consistent. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, brings more attention because he's Mr. Tall, dark, and handsome. But I think Jimmy G is probably going to end up on a team like the Jets, Robert Saleh, and very similar system. I think it's the same system actually, the wide zone scheme, and I think that'd be a good fit. And they have a really good defense. They're pretty much the Niners 2.0. But yeah, that's all I got to say on that.
We didn't even talk about the Dolphins being a possible landing spot. I feel like that's not a bad one to kind of look their way. I feel like they're a team that, as we said, with Tua being kind of a questionable thought and Teddy not really being like necessarily the backup quarterback they might have envisioned him to be, they might be looking for a new starter this upcoming year, so wouldn't be surprised if their team gets thrown around in the mix. But Jay, what is the final segment?
So the final segment is rebuilding. So each week we're going to rebuild one team, and we're going to start off. We're going to go in order of the draft picks. So Austin's team, Chicago's on the clock, and we're basically going to put ourselves in the driver's seat of the organization, like we're the general manager, and we're going to go through an entire off season, and we're going to go through this off season, and then we'll talk like long term, what they should do, staff hires and stuff. And I think Austin will probably have a lot of good insight on this one. So if you want to start it off, Austin or Kate, it doesn't matter. Go for it.
I feel like
it's his team.
I feel like we should push this back for next week to allow us to do more research on the team specifically. Because I feel like it'll allow all of us to kind of understand who needs to be signed this offseason. Like, because if you're taking the role of a GM, you gotta know everything about everything. You can't simply say we're here to fill a void, because that's too simplified. We have to talk about re-signing people.
Okay. So what if we just do like a very brief one this week, where you're not so much going after specific players, but like in free agency, say we address this position, and in the first round and second round we pick this player and this player,
I get what
and
you're
then
saying.
Talk about if you want to keep Justin or not, and then next week we'll really go with everybody on here. We'll go like specific players to target and
The Texans.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Well, regarding that, in the offseason, the Bears, obviously regarding first and second pick, I feel like we'll just kind of summarize that. Bears traded away their second round pick, but they ended up getting one back in Roquan. So they have the Ravens second round pick. So for the first round pick, I would like to see them get Will Anderson, but initially I want them to trade back. So if they miss out on Will Anderson, I'd hope to get Jalen Carter, or maybe even the Clemson's D-line. I forgot what his name was, but either or of those guys wouldn't be out the window. Wave? Tired?
Breathe. Trying to play charades over here.
He's not the number one. No, they have a different D line that's actually higher ranked than him. But so with that being the first pick, and then the second pick, I would like them to rebuild kind of deeper into their linebacking core. I haven't looked too deep into the second round options, but I really hope they go after kind of it's hard to replace a guy like Roquan, but if they can try to get some sort of linebacker in the draft that can kind of emulate or maybe even fill the void like that, I would think that'd be a great acquisition as well. And then,
so question,
what's up?
Real quick, just because what scheme do you guys run defensively?
What scheme? I feel like so we're gonna end up running. I think we're running a 4-3 right now with Eberflus coming in. We're running a 4-3, and so it's gonna play like an edge rush or
linebackers matter.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, they're gonna have to cover, and so like we need a quick guy out there, and so they kind of need a guy with speed, but also like fairly good cover ability.
Instinct.
But and then obviously in the offseason, this has been a talking point for every single team. You have to improve the offensive line. And so there's not a lot of large market teams or not large market, like big name offensive tackles. I think Orlando Brown signed with the Chiefs, right? Yeah, because he signed last year. But there's not many big name offensive line, so I really hope that
Never. And the free agents never. Like, they never hit the market.
no,
Tackles don't.
not with their importance, but if they're able to snag somebody who can at least somewhat improve, and then because I would rather them focus drafting defense right now, trying to grab somebody to at least aid in protecting Justin, then I think the second year could be a little bit more of a blossom year for the pass game for the Bears. And then I really hope they pick up a receiver because Chase Claypool is not a legitimate one. He should not have been traded. A second round pick is not what he's worth. He has not shown the potential. Everybody's talking about how he's like the light skin. I forgot what his nickname was.
Maple Strong. That's what they call him.
Yeah, no. He unless maybe he gets more.
You don't like his TikToks? It wasn't worth the second rounder?
I'm not even gonna regard that question. I'm just gonna move on. Yeah, so they need to build upon that receiving core. So give another option out there. Possibly sign somebody in the free agency. I need to do more research about who's going to be hitting the market this year regarding offensive line, hitting receivers, and I'll be able to obviously deliver a better kind of understanding next week with the mock board of the draft as well. But I'll pass it on to Cade if you have any further understanding.
I guess maybe just to go ahead and pick like what they kind of should do draft wise at least, and then in free agency, I think a big target for them would be honestly a wide receiver. I don't think their wide receivers are at where they need to be in order to be a competitive team and to be chasing after Super Bowls. But with that, I mean, I think you're fine with Justin Fields. I think you go ahead and pick up Will Anderson or Jalen Carter in the draft. And then you said they have a second round pick, right? They got that one back.
Yeah, they have the Ravens second round pick. They don't have theirs.
So whatever they want to go with that, I think like Austin said, I think he said maybe a linebacker or something is where they would need to fill. I think I would agree with that. I think you start to build a good defensive foundation. And I think in the free agency, you go after a wide receiver. I think that kind of fills some of the holes that I've seen or have heard from this podcast and from Austin talking about the team and just seeing how they do statistically. Their defense is kind of, in a way, blowing it for them. So I think that's where they should be going.
You want me to take over? Okay, so as far as free agency, because that's going to happen first, I think you guys need more talent on offense. And what do you think of this, Austin? Now, I don't know if either running back is going to hit the market, but what do you think of Josh Jacobs or Saquon Barkley? And I don't usually believe in paying running backs, but you guys have a lot of cap space, and it would definitely add a spark to your offense. You don't like it? Saquon Montgomery?
I personally think that I don't think David's going to be our future either. I think it's going to be a little bit of a committee, but I think he's going to slowly get phased out by Khalil Herbert.
Okay, but what do you think of like Saquon Barkley and Justin Fields? Like you don't see that as like a dynamic run game and then opening up the pass game?
I agree. I don't disagree with that logic. I think that would open it up, but I think the amount of money they would spend on Saquon could be better invested to make the team more well-rounded, other than maybe influencing just the run game and hoping that it opens up the pass game, just to still have to throw to Chase Claypool and Darnell.
Okay, you want a receiver. So yeah, if I'm Chicago, I'm gonna go target a receiver in free agency, try to get or trade for a guy like D Hop. I mean, that's you don't want D Hop either. Wow. Okay.
D Hop's a tough one because he's like 30. I think he's 33. No, he's 30. He's 30.
No, he's like Devontae's age. He's like 30.
No, he might be 30 or 33. I don't remember what age.
He's not that. No, he's not 30. He's 30. Let me look it up. He's not that old. 30.
Yeah.
He'll be 31 going into next year.
It's kind of tough.
So he's still got two. I'd say 2 to 3. Probably we'll say realistically 2 good years in it, like really good years.
So my question to you on that is, do you want a guy who's going to be good for a portion of time that the team won't be able to succeed at the highest level?
Yes, because what a guy like D Hop can do is, no, I'm not going to give up a first-round pick for him, but what a guy like DeAndre Hopkins can do is it can allow for a guy like Justin Fields to really, really develop.
That's a valuable point. It's just like, it's a tough
and
one
that's more
in that
important
regard.
than anything.
Is it
Now,
though? Because you might end up you might lose a lot of money that you can be doing in a fact of maybe you get another receiver that's maybe not at the caliber of D-Hop, but somebody that you can afford at a much cheaper price tag.
Give me a name, like a Juju Smith.
No.
I'm just saying because the drop off is pretty.
That is
steep,
definitely a large discrepancy.
Well, I'm pretty sure he's
hitting the market this year, or is he hitting it next year?
DJ Moore?
Yeah, I want to say he's hitting the market next year.
I don't think he's hitting the market because Green Bay offered them a first-round pick and they said no. So if they were going to let him go, they would have taken that.
That's honestly fair. I'm trying to think of. I'm looking at guys hitting the market this year. 0.
Yeah, I'm looking.
0 P.
No, yeah, the receivers aren't that great.
The receivers are not optimal at all. If we sign Nelson Aguilar, I'm gonna retire as a fan of NFL because nobody here is sitting here when I'm looking through unless we sign Julio and he rejuvenates his career out of nowhere.
You guys, yeah. I was gonna say you guys have a lot of options on the defense. I mean, Javon Hargrave, Jesse Bates, Jamal Dean, Levante David. There's some guys, Deron Payne. There's some really, really good pieces you guys can. I mean, Chicago is not like vacation destination, but it's not bad. Chicago, it's not like but you guys can throw money at these guys and attract a lot of them. So, if I'm Chicago personally, I'm gonna go try to grab 3-4 good free agents and just try to do kind of like what Jacksonville did in Detroit this offseason. They didn't get any superstars, but they got some pretty solid guys, more so Jacksonville than Detroit. And you got to overpay. That's the way that you got to rebuild. And you got to get these guys in the building. And the rest of it, you got to do through the draft or trading. But trading, I don't think trading is like a realistic way to build your team. I think it's like if you want to get 1 or 2, 3 guys max. But yeah, I think you guys go draft Will Anderson with the first pick, and then second round. I'm not really sure. You guys don't have a second rounder, right?
Yeah, we do. We have the
You
Ravens.
have a first
now.
and a third.
We have the Ravens.
Okay.
Now.
Oh yeah, for Roquan. So yeah, second round, maybe you go and get a guy like a linebacker.
Yeah.
Sure, Georgia probably has a good backer.
I've heard of a guy like that. No,
Quay
actually,
Walker?
Quay Walker. Yeah, no, not that guy. Not the guy who gets a
He's
jacket
got some
because
better.
he.
I'm still not a fan of it, but he's got.
Not a guy who smacks training assistants. Not a big fan of that. No, but I think with that being said, you brought up an interesting point, and this is going to be the last point I want to talk about.
Two times.
Huh?
That was only 2 times. It was only 2 times.
That's terrible.
Only
nonetheless.
twice. And that was in a matter of like 2 months. But
Anyhow, I want to finish this off regarding the Bears and the fact of Jason brought up an interesting point, and I feel like the Bears could actually approach this offseason in a different manner now. Maybe they focus offseason regarding free agents in going a little bit of different avenue defensively, and then they draft young offensively, and they kind of flip the script. So they can go for like a Quentin Johnson in the draft. Obviously, not with the first pick, but I'm saying like they trade back 101.5 million. Are you talking about Roquan's contract? Oh, the amount of
that's
cap
how much cap
space.
space we got this year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. You guys have the second most cap space behind Atlanta.
I think they could make a defensive surge in the free agency, snag a couple big name players, and then kind of rebuild around the culture of those guys, and then make a play offensively and try to grab like Quentin Johnson. They trade back for like 5 or 6, snag him, get out of TCU, maybe Jordan Addison out of SC, and try to go bold on a first round receiver. Obviously, last time I remember they did that. I have his jersey. He's sitting on the Saints practice squad now, Kevin White. It's an unfortunate situation, but he was a stud back at TCU. That's the last time we drafted. No, Virginia Tech, sorry. But nonetheless, I think that brings up a different kind of outlook. So with that being said, this offseason is going to be interesting, and we'll do a little more research for next week's for the Texans to get a better outlook. But does anybody have any concluding thoughts, statements? Jay?
I'm just gonna say, like, you guys got to overpay. If you guys want to build up that roster, you have to overpay, and I think it's vital right now. You have a window with Justin Fields on his rookie contract. You've got to get the roster in order, because when quarterbacks are on the rookie contract before you have to pay them, that's when you have that's the best time to load up the roster. So go do it now. You're gonna have to overpay guys. It's just part of it. And God, you might have to give a guy like Juju Smith $25 million a year. No, that's a joke. But that we've seen some crazier things with guys like Christian Kirk and DJ Chark. But to be fair, Christian Kirk actually panned out this year. He looked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just say overpay and don't be overly aggressive in the draft. Like, don't try to do too much. We've seen some teams try to do that and it backfires. And I think just take the best player available and take Will Anderson, just send it in and go home.
Oh, yeah. Well, that being said, I think this is a quality pod today. This is probably going to be a similar format that we'll be doing in the future, obviously with separate topics, but they'll be fairly segmented. And then we'll make sure to have hopefully all 5 of us for next week. But with that being said, it's a great day. Quality pod. And we hope to see anybody who stuck around or even watched all the way through to come back in the future. But yeah. Any